What if I told you Bob Marley died, almost broke? The shocking truth behind reggae's biggest stars will leave you speechless. These legends sold millions, but lived in poverty. Some even died homeless. Why did the industry abandon them? Stick around. The final reveal will change how you see music forever. You'll never listen to their songs the same way again. Bob Marley stood on global stages, yet walked barefoot through the alleys of Kingston with the ease of a man who never forgot where he came from. Born in 9 Mile, a remote village in Jamaica, Robert Nesta Marley saw hardship early. His father was a white British man who abandoned them. His mother, a teenage black Jamaican, bore the weight of survival. Moving from the lush hills to the grit of Trenchtown, he grew up among zinc shacks, open sewers, and the pulse of poverty. Even as his voice echoed through millions of speakers worldwide, selling more records than some nations had citizens, Bob Marley wore simple cotton shirts, grew his dreadlocks long in defiance of vanity, and lived in a house that now stands as a museum, not because it was grand, but because it was his. The story of Winston Rodney, better known as Burning Spear, walks in similar sandals. A disciple of Marcus Garvey's teachings and the echoes of the motherland, Burning Spear's life became a living poem of liberation. His songs roared against the shackles of mental slavery, yet his pockets rarely mirrored the depth of his messages. Record label deals tampered with his original sound. Marcus Garvey, the album that should have cemented his legacy, was diluted by producers at Island Records without his consent. Tired of exploitation, he formed his own label, Burning Music, in a bid for freedom that came with no promise of wealth. Despite winning Grammy Awards and touring globally, Winston Rodney chose Queens, New York as his sanctuary, a quiet place where he could raise his voice for the voiceless without bending to the excess of stardom. Next on our list is Gregory Isaacs. Gregory Isaacs, with a voice like velvet soaked in sorrow, crooned his way into the hearts of millions. But behind the soulful ballads of Night Nurse and Loving Pauper was a man caught between brilliance and brokenness. Gregory Anthony Isaacs rose from the rugged streets of Fletcher's Land, Kingston, only to fall prey to the demons of addiction. Despite signing with major labels like Island Records and Virgin, he never saw the kind of financial success others assumed he must have had. He opened a record shop and his own label, but he remained in the shadows of commercial acclaim. Arrested over 50 times, his struggles with substance abuse chipped away at his fortune and his health. When he passed, the world mourned not just the cool ruler, but a man who gave everything to music and took little for himself. Next on our list is Junior Byles. Junior Byles could have been one of the brightest stars in reggae's constellation, but fate had other plans. Born Kenneth Byles, he didn't enter music for fame. First a mechanic, then a firefighter, he stumbled into the reggae scene like a prophet disguised as a servant. Songs like Curly Locks and Fade Away became cult anthems. Yet the sudden death of Haile Selassie, whom he revered as a living deity, shattered his spirit. Depression took hold. His voice, once booming through speakers, was reduced to whispers in Bellevue Hospital. At times, he roamed the streets of the United States, hungry, homeless, forgotten. The man who once echoed through Jamaica's sound systems begged for meals and silence. His story became a mirror of reggae's deepest tragedy, how prophets are praised but rarely protected. Next on our list is Tiken Jah Fakoly. When Tiken Jah Fakoly raised his voice from the heart of Ivory Coast, the world listened. Born Doumbia Musa Fakoly, he refused to trade integrity for riches. From his early days with the group Les Jellies to his rise with albums like Frank Afrique and African Revolution, his lyrics were weapons against corruption, colonialism, and silence. Though he sold out stadiums in France and charted globally, he lived modestly. His net worth, speculated to hover around $500,000, did not reflect his influence. Tiken built schools, empowered youth, and planted seeds of consciousness. He chose humility over hype, dressing in traditional garments, walking barefoot into villages, and using music as a torch rather than a throne. Next on our list is Peter Tosh. Peter Tosh never knelt. Not to labels, not to politicians, not even to the rules of commercial success. Born Winston Hubert McIntosh, he was the militant voice in the legendary trio, the Wailers. He taught Bob Marley and Bunny Wailer how to play guitar and crafted some of their most iconic songs. But while Marley soared in global popularity, Peter Tosh became the rebel that corporations feared. His solo debut legalized it was banned in Jamaica. Equal rights screamed justice. Bush Doctor brought him close to the Rolling Stones, but never far from danger. His outspoken nature made him a target. He was beaten, harassed, and ultimately unalived in his own home. And through all of it, he never amassed wealth. The man who taught the world to get up, stand up, lived and died without the luxury his talent deserved. Next on our list is Desmond Dekker. Desmond Dekker's voice cracked borders and blasted open the gates for reggae's global reach. Israelites, with its haunting refrain, became the first Jamaican song to top the UK charts and crack the US top 10. But behind that historic feat stood a man orphaned as a teen and working as a welder before fate called. Desmond Adolphus Dekker's climbed to fame with a catalog of cultural commentary, yet his earnings told a different story. The death of his producer, Leslie Kong, derailed his career. Later releases never matched the magic, and without strong management, his financial future dimmed. Touring became a means of survival rather than celebration. Next on our list is Delroy Wilson. Delroy Wilson was Jamaica's first child star, but the spotlight never protected him from the shadows. Recording hits at just 13 under Studio One's legendary Clement Dodd, he became a household name. His song Better Must Come became a political anthem. Yet with fame came fragile foundations. Exploitative contracts and unreliable royalty payments bled his pockets dry. Even with classics like Dancing Mood and I'm Still Waiting, Delroy never saw the riches his voice earned. Cirrhosis of the liver took him at 46, but poverty had stalked him long before. Next on our list is Buju Banton. The story of Buju Banton reads like a novel with jagged pages. Born Mark Anthony Myrie, the youngest of 15 children, he sang from struggle. His name meant breadfruit, nourishment, and his voice became just that. Songs like Till Shiloh and Wanna Be Loved redefined the depth of dancehall. But success didn't shield him. Legal battles, prison, and industry politics stripped him of what many thought he had. Even with a Grammy to his name and global reverence, Buju returned to a world where he had to rebuild from scratch. His life, like his music, remained grounded in grit. Next on our list is Protoje. Protoje may have been born into a musical family, but nothing about his path was privileged. Born Oyi Ken Olivier, his rise came from introspection, not opulence. His songs like Who Knows and Blood Money peeled back layers of Jamaican society, exposing truths that few dared speak. He led a band, founded a label, signed to RCA, but never abandoned his modest lifestyle. Protoje invested not in chains or cars, but in new artists, Lila Ike, Savannah, ensuring that reggae's future had roots. He released albums for free, performed without fanfare, and dressed like a man with nothing to prove. Next on our list is Jacob Miller. Jacob Miller, the smiling giant of reggae, had a laugh louder than his bass lines. Yet beneath that jovial exterior was a man who lived on the edge of generosity. Born in Mandeville, Jamaica, he rose to fame with inner circle and solo hits like Tenement Yard and Everything Is Great. He could electrify a crowd with a wink, but he cared little for money. Friends remember him throwing cash in the air, saying, "What is money but paper?" Even after Island Records signed him and the film rockers immortalized his image, Jacob's bank account stayed thin. His life was rich in spirit, not in gold. Next on our list is Althia Rose Forrest and Donna Marie Reid. Althea Rose Forrest and Donna Marie Reid became history's youngest female reggae duo to top the UK charts. Uptown Top ranking was their anthem, but teenage stardom didn't translate to lifelong comfort. Industry sharks circled, contracts favored labels. After their initial success, they faded from the spotlight and into the long shadows of forgotten fame. The money that should have followed never did. Their story, like many women in reggae, became a footnote when it should have been a headline. Next on our list is Lord Creator. Lord Creator, born Kintrick Patrick, once sang Jamaica's independence into existence with Independent Jamaica. Yet by the time UB40's cover of Kingston Town brought his name back into public consciousness, he was living on the streets of Kingston. It took a producer tracking him down to deliver news of royalties he didn't know he was owed. Decades of musical contribution yielded no pension, no safety net, just memory and misfortune. Next on our list is Dennis Brown. Dennis Emmanuel Brown, called the Crown Prince of Reggae by Bob Marley himself, had a voice that seemed too beautiful to know suffering. Yet suffer he did. From the ghettos of Waterhouse to stages across London and Africa, Dennis released over 75 albums. But bad contracts, failed labels, and uneven management drained his potential fortune. He launched his own label, but it struggled. Even with hits like Money in My Pocket, he often had none in his own. He remained generous to a fault, helping younger artists while his own path stayed rocky. Next on our list is Iroy. Iroy, the witty wordsmith, whose real name was Roy Samuel Reed, was a master of rhyme and rhythm. But his humor didn't save him from tragedy. He helped birth the DJ culture that made reggae explode, working tirelessly in studios and sound systems. Yet by the 1980s, his name had faded, credits erased, royalties lost. He died in 1999 in poverty, his microphone long silenced, his legacy barely remembered. Next on our list is Alton Ellis. The saga of Alton Ellis, known as the godfather of rocksteady, echoes the same refrain. While his smooth vocals inspired lovers worldwide and his songs became reggae standards, his financial journey was one of hardship. From Kingston to London, he kept performing late into his life, not out of passion alone, but necessity. Like many of his peers, Alton Ellis lived with little despite giving the world so much. Next on our list is Max Romeo. Max Romeo, whose track War in a Babylon thundered with political fire, was another who never saw the riches his artistry deserved. Born Maxwell Livingston Smith, his career survived censorship, exile, and misrepresentation. Despite having his songs sampled and covered by major artists, Romeo continued to live humbly, farming in St. Catherine, Jamaica, and reflecting on a life where art triumphed, but profit did not. Next on our list is Johnny Clarke. Johnny Clarke, with his sweet falsetto and spiritual energy, walked through the reggae world without bodyguards or Bentleys. His messages, built on faith and roots, made him a star during the 1970s. But stardom in reggae was a fickle friend. Johnny Clarke remained grounded, living in Jamaica quietly, sometimes overlooked by newer generations, even while his records were rediscovered in foreign DJ crates. Lastly, Don Carlos, co-founder of Black Uhuru and a solo artist with a haunting baritone, preferred the quiet of Dehaney Park to Hollywood Hills. Even as his music was praised in Europe and the United States, Carlos lived without ostentation. He continued to tour modestly, traveling light, singing heavy truths, and giving thanks for each stage, no matter how small. These 20 reggae artists, from Bob Marley to Don Carlos, lived lives that defied the traditional image of celebrity. They chose simplicity not because they lacked talent, but because their souls belonged to a deeper purpose. In their music, they carried nations. In their pockets, they often carried coins. But in their legacy, they carry immortality. Which artist's story shocked you the most? Did you know about these struggles before watching? Drop your thoughts below. I read every comment. And if you want more untold stories of music legends, subscribe now, because the truth, it's never what the mainstream shows you.